Hello, my name is LaQuina Johnson. I am a student at Odessa College, and I will be reviewing ergonomic safety for this training class. Just to define it itself, ergonomics is defined as an applied science that concerns with the way that things are designed around an employee or a worker. Basically, it is a way to make the work come to the worker or fit the worker versus the worker having to put stress on their body in order to conform to the work. Okay. In 2010, it was reported that over 25% of injuries were musculoskeletal disorders, and unfortunately that number it continues to rise. And so many companies are doing their part when it comes to training their employees in regards to ergonomics safety. So the things that we will consider in this class is different types of injuries or things that can result in ergonomic musculoskeletal injuries. How does it apply to construction? That's the main thing because we are a construction company. This is Brant. Ergonomic safety, and what are your expectations in regards to ergonomic safety? So just to start off with one, we're going to talk about exerting force, okay? Exerting force is defined as when an employee has to personally apply excessive amount of pressure in order to get something in motion. It could be a pushing or it could be a pulling motion, things of that nature. So, and that's going to take effort on the employee's part to do that. So they could be pushing a load. You could be pushing a cart, for example. You could be pulling a load, like this worker right here. He is pulling this pallet jack full of cinder block, very heavy. Okay, picking up a load. Okay, forcing a material or work in place, prying an object to release it, like using a pry bar. That's going to take effort on the employee's part. Gripping the tool takes effort. And then you have having your hands in a pinch position also is considered exerting force. And all of those things can result in some type of injury. Okay? So, the hazards is the more force that a worker has to apply to a load, it could increase the hazard itself. It also could increase the risk for an injury. Okay? So, it puts stress on muscles and tendons. And for example, heavy lifting, let's say there's a box and it's weighing 51 pounds, okay? Even if a box weighs 10 pounds and you lift it inappropriately, you can put a lot of stress on your back for that, okay? You got awkward positions. For example, this employee right here, these two employees right there, they're both in awkward positions. They're bending over. And notice they've done all of this surface when it comes to pouring the concrete, and they probably have been doing this for a good 2 hours of trying to smooth this out. And so that awkward position, once they come up, it could cause stress on their back. Okay? Then you have this employee right here. He's basically trying to level out the concrete by pulling the trowel. Okay? And he's putting stress on his shoulders. He's putting stress on his arms. He's also putting stress on his back as well. Okay? So that's just an example right there. Just to kind of break down the difference. Here you have normal muscle tissue. Notice the fibers are together. They're intact. They're really good. But when it comes to having a strained muscle, it's loosened up. You can see it's swollen. There's a lot of blood in that area. Just to break it down, the difference between a strain and a sprain. Strains happen in the muscle tissue, and sprains happen in the ligaments and tendons. Just if I have to go back and forth between it so that you'll know. Okay? So, remember we had the employee that was using a trowel to pull to level out the concrete, and those other ones that were using that 2x4 bent over? Well, getting out of that position could definitely cause a strain. Okay? When it comes to the tears with the strained muscle, a lot of times, especially in your back, it could cause difficulty to breathe as well. I know I've strained my back before, so that's how I know. Helpful tips. Always be aware of your body position. Always try to keep yourself in the power zone. This is your power zone from your shoulder height down to your waist level. That is your power zone. That means that is the best position to be in order to apply the work that you're doing. Okay? Overreaching, you're not in the power zone. You want to keep things square with your body. Always square. Try to limit when it comes to twisting as well. Do not bend your wrist when it comes to your wrist. You want to also keep your wrist square as possible. Here, that's an awkward position. And if you have your fingers in a pinch motion while trying to, like, let's say you're trying to grab your laptop out of your bag. Well, I actually had an employee do that, and he strained his thumb and had to take it to the clinic for that. Here in this situation, with employees that are in the office, working on a computer, this, you see the wrist is not square again. So we always want to keep our bodies square with the work that we're doing, including our hands. This, over time, puts a lot of stress on the wrist, also puts a lot of stress on the nerves, and it could cause carpal tunnel syndrome. So if you notice, they have cushions these days when you're typing. It's so that you keep your body straight or square with the work that you're doing. We're going to talk about lifting properly. Very, very important. I'm going to go get my box as a demonstration too. Okay, so I'm going to place this box. So, first thing you want to do is stand close to the load. Let me put this box on the floor. So you want to stay close to the load. Always stand close to the load. Then bend at the knees. When you're bending at the knees, remember you're keeping your body square. Okay? Get a firm grasp of the object. Bring it close to you. And slowly lift with your legs. Always lift with your legs when it comes to carrying a box. Okay? Always keep the body close to you. Remember, this is your power zone. So now we are square with the box. My body is close to it. This box is in my power zone, and it is safe for me to move it. When it comes to moving a box, you want to avoid twisting. Okay, so always try to stay square with the load that you are carrying. Very, very, very important. Brent has so many injuries because of lifting something improperly. So we place this down, and you want to follow those steps when it comes to placing a load down too. Always keep it square. You want to always use your legs, never use your back. You want to use the muscles in your legs. You have more muscles in your legs than you do in your back, and that's why they always say lift with your legs, not your back. Okay, always protect yourself. Always have a plan. Always form a path, especially in construction. Make sure you have a clear path, because the clearer your path, the less obstructions you have. Test the weight before you just pick it up. I know a lot of our guys think that they are Superman, but they get proven otherwise when they get injured on the job site. Store materials at waist height if possible. I know that can be pretty difficult in construction, but when it is possible, make sure you do that, especially like in the Connex, things of that nature. Clean and dry floors and walkways, and when you need to take a break, take a break. For Brant, we always have our 5 minutes to power, so you want to stretch before you work. Loosen up those muscles before you start working. If you need to get help, get help. Get help could mean using a mechanical means like a pallet jack, a cart, a dolly, a roustabout, a duck jack. If you need that, get it, okay? Don't put yourself in a bind for the sake of the work. I always tell our guys that. Move it carefully. Keep the load close to you. Do not twist and do not jerk. Do not twist and do not jerk. That's where injury happens, okay? Team lifting. If you are team lifting, you want to make sure you have good communication, eye contact, and coordination with your partner, okay? Look each other in the eye. One person needs to direct. He's the one that's going to count. You can do a 1, 2, 3 count, things of that nature. If anyone needs to say hold it, then hold it. If your partner says stop, then stop, okay? Sometimes stop doesn't mean drop the load either. Whew. We've had that happen a couple of times. Make sure that the load rides at the same level possible, okay? You still want to keep it in your power zone, so your power zone, and distribute the load evenly while you're carrying it. Review. Never put too much stress on your body. Do not compromise your body for the work that you are doing. Always wear the required PPE. If you need to have gloves on, make sure that they are on, that they're not too loose, that they're pretty snug. Use mechanical means to minimize the wear and tear on your body. We can get you another pallet jack. We cannot get another employee. So And try to keep your body square with the load. Always try to stay square with the load. Stay in your power zone, lift properly, and use team lifting when you need to. Remember that our rule is we cannot lift no more than 50 pounds. If it's greater than 50 pounds, you are required to get help per brand policy. Next thing we're going to talk about is repetitive tasks. Repetitive tasks kind of defines itself. You're doing the same thing over and over and over. For example, we have an employee that's drilling shields all day, just drilling shields all day, and setting anchors. So they're drilling and they're hammering all day, okay? Or you have an employee working on a desk all day, typing all day, which can be so boring sometimes, okay? Here, example, we have these guys that are putting in rebar and they're tying it all day. Awkward position, you see the awkward position? What they're doing to compromise their body by doing the task. Remember, they can get up and boom, they just hurt their back. So, some things that it applies, nailing, screwing things in all day, especially drywall, sheetrock, it seems like it never ends. Hammering anchors, we talked about that. Working with a piece of equipment in the fab shop, I've worked in the fab shop can become redundant. Definitely at times. And painting, so remember you're doing the same movement all day for hours on end. We're doing the same movement, okay? Some of the hazards when it comes to repetitive tasks, you're putting more stress on your body in that same area. So if I'm doing this all day, eventually my hand might hurt, my arm might hurt, my shoulder might hurt. If I'm in a weird position, my back might hurt. So remember, we're doing this all day. That's what it means when it comes to doing repetitive tasks. You put stress on your muscles, your tendons, your nerves, and also your joints. Again, we go back to carpal tunnel, where you're doing this for hours, for days, and for months, and for years. You put a lot of stress on your nerves and your tendons when it comes to doing that. Some of the hazards associated with it. The thing about repetitive tasks is it could make an employee become complacent because you are doing the same thing. So unfortunately, it can give you a false sense of security that you already know what you're doing. No one can tell you right from wrong, things of that nature. Unlike this employee, he probably have been working at this paper mill for years, so he knows what he's doing. He's complacent. Maybe he had an argument that morning with his wife, and he's not all the way there. But he's been doing this task for years. He could make one wrong move because he's not thinking about what he's doing, and he could lose a finger like that. Okay? That's the danger when it comes to repetitive tasks. We have a lot of near-miss incidents when it comes to repetitive tasks because they're not really thinking about what they're doing. Okay? And eventually, especially when the task is boring and you're doing it constantly, it could lower production as well. So, some helpful tips, I would say take breaks. I'm not saying, take a 15-minute break every hour or anything like that, but when you need to just take a break, take a break. It would be great if you could rotate your job. For our shop, we rotate our jobs every 3 to 4 months. We have one employee who was cutting copper all day. He might be installing bathroom headers the next. Maybe an employee that was grinding for months, he may start prepping and tack welding things on. Drink plenty of water. Water always helps when it comes to loosening up your joints, and stretch when you feel sore. Okay? So, rotating the jobs, you have an increased level of health. It increases performance. It increases productivity. It increases the knowledge because now you're going to have people who have a versatile knowledge of everything that's going on. For instance, in the fab shop, so if someone goes home, well, I have someone else that can grind all day. And that's great. The rotating job task is extremely effective when it comes to construction. I would say when it comes to most industries, rotating job task is extremely important. Increases performance, and also you have a greater workload that is accomplished as well. So I would say definitely rotate your jobs. Rotate your jobs if you can. Okay? Move the workers between different tasks at fixed or regular intervals. That's very important. Make sure that the different tasks engages a different muscle group. So if an employee is going from drilling to grinding, well, they're still working on the same muscle group. They're still overusing this. Okay, so we're drilling all day. Now we're grinding. We're still affecting our arm, our hand, and our shoulder. Okay, so maybe go from drilling to installing, where we have to put things together, or we go from drilling or welding or something like that. If we've been welding all day and it affects our wrist, maybe we can go from that to housekeeping. Okay, so that affects a different muscle group. And remember, if you do rotate job tasks, make sure you train the employee on what you expect for them to do as well. Okay, helpful tips: always set a good pace, especially when it comes to our fab shops. It's very important to have a good pace. You want them to be productive, but you don't want to overwork them. Employees are more susceptible to injury on high-paced jobs. Ensure that a good crew size is not overworked. Like here, I would say this is a pretty good crew size right there. Okay, so just to review this, repetitive tasks can result in permanent damage. Remember, complacency can set in. It's important to change tasks or stretch and take regular breaks, and always alert us when you have early signs of discomfort. Please let us know if you have early signs of discomfort. And so that's what we'll talk about so far. We have 3 more items to discuss, and I'll let you take a quick break for right now. Thank you.